Hello, everyone. And welcome to Miss Hope's Reading Hour. As you can see, Miss Hope is a little tardy. Let me explain to you why. Because my computer was making some weird growly noise and it wasn't doing anything right. As you can see, Miss Hope usually has her glasses on, but I was just like, no, what's happening? And it wasn't doing anything it was supposed to be doing. So I'm like, oh my goodness. All right, well, here we are. Oh, sight. So good to be able to see right. Okay, people. Oh my goodness. Almost did not make it on time. Well, on time enough for Facebook not to freeze me out. Because there's a certain amount of time on StreamYard that you have to get on before Facebook is like, you're late. We're out of here. And then you have to do it all over again. And it would have been really late. Okay. Well, happy marvelous Monday, my friends. So glad to be here with you today. Some of you, my young ones, are enjoying. My older ones are enjoying. And my adult ones are enjoying spring break. No school, no grades, no pencils, no papers. And maybe that's why Miss Hope's computer was acting a little crazy. It's like, wait a minute, I'm used to being used all day long. And it wasn't today. I was able, if you want to know, to get some of my homework done for my class. Because even though you guys are out of school and I'm out of school, I'm kind of not out of school because I still have homework for my college courses. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed your weekend and you had a great weekend and you had a marvelous Monday so far, my friends. Well, today, if you paid attention to the teaser, we will be talking about some gutsy women and girls, one woman in particular that I'm pretty sure even you young ones know who she is, okay? So we will get to the books in a moment, but before we get to the books, the disclaimer, my friends, the wonderful music that you hear and the awesome books that we are going to read. Unfortunately, Miss Hope does not own the rights to any of them, but they are here for your listening and reading enjoyment. You are going to love the books that we read today, okay? And this is the last two broadcasts of not Miss Hope's Reading Hour. I was going to say that. That is the wrong thing to say. Of our Women's History Month books. Today is day number 1. Wonderful Wednesday is day number 2. And then we are done with our women's history books. But guess what? Will we still be talking about amazing women throughout the rest of this year? Absolutely. We surely will. Now, knowing that, we are going to need more books. How do we get more books? Okay. The way that we get more books is by donation. Many of the donations comes from Ms. Hope being the donator. Okay. But many of you out there who are Miss Hope's Reading Hour family and friends, you all have been so amazing in helping to replenish the Miss Hope's Reading Hour library. And I'm going to need you again, okay? So if you have not had a chance to donate, please feel free to donate via Cash App at Hope GM. That's HOPEGM. HOPEGM. All one word, all lowercase. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of sorts because my computer was making crazy noises. But we're back, okay? So you can donate via Cash App. HOPEGM, all one word, all lowercase. Put the $ in front of it, of course, to donate via Cash App. Any donation, big or small, we are grateful for all donations. And you can donate as well with digital gift cards via our email address, which is right down here to be coming back around on the ticker for the whole time, the whole broadcast, okay? And you can send digital gift cards there, or you can send me a message and say, Miss Hope, I have some books and I would love to send them to you. You can get all of that information from me once you email me and tell me that, okay? Now that we have gotten past all of that, let us get to the books, shall we? So, our first book that we will be reading is Girls with Guts. We're not talking about the inside guts, which they have those too. We're talking about The Road to Breaking Barriers and Bashing Records. Girls with Guts, okay? They're gutsy, okay? Now, we will be reading this book. This book is by Debbie Gonzalez, illustrated by Rebecca Gibbon. Girls with Guts. All right. Our next book that we will be reading, remember I told you that we will be reading a book about a woman that even the young ones probably know who she is. So, we will be reading this book, A Voice Named Aretha. This book is by Catherine Russell Brown, illustrated by Laura Freeman. I believe that we have read books illustrated by Laura Freeman before. A Voice Named Aretha. Oh man. On the back of the dust jacket, it says, Aretha's songs inspire us to think, love, and respect ourselves and one another. The one and only Aretha, A Voice Named Aretha. We will be reading that book. And of course, we have been reading a book for a while about a gutsy girl. Our girl Patina, okay? Who ain't no junk, right? By Jason Reynolds. We will be reading some more about her. She had a bit of a confrontation last week on Friday, okay? And we have to see what comes of that, all right? Yeah, it got kind of intense at track practice. So we have to find out what happens as a result of that intense confrontation, all right? So our first book we will be reading is Girls with Guts, The Road to Breaking Barriers and Bashing Records by Debbie Gonzalez. All right, let's take that dust jacket off. And guess what? Ta-da! Looks the same underneath. All right, let's see who the publisher of this book is. That's the thing about new books. This is a Charles Bridge book. Look at you, springing, kicking, dribbling, and pitching it down the pike. Girl, you are amazing. How about that? It's hard to believe that there was a time when girls were not encouraged to play sports. It's true. Athletic programs funded by the U.S. government were once for boys only. That was the rule. Girls were told no chasing, no stretching, no kicking, no pushing, no splashing, and never, ever sweat. How can you do that? Even if it's hot, you can't sweat? Come on now. How are you supposed to do that? That has to be pretty hard. Just a second. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Something is really going crazy with my computer. Oh my goodness. All right, friends. We got to get this together. This is what happens when we do things live, friends. Oh my goodness. What is this? What is happening? I'm sorry. We'll figure out what's happening with this in a moment. We got to get our ambiance right, friends. We got to get it right. Because I do not understand what is happening with this computer right now. I don't know. All right. Okay. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. All right. So this is what we're going to do, friends. We're going to go to our other ambiance music. And we are going to cancel this out. I apologize, friends. This was really strange. This usually does not happen. But there's a first time for everything, friends. Now back to the story, Girls with Guts. All right. Historically, the boys' only rule goes way back to the early days of civilization. That's right. In ancient Greece, women were executed for watching the early Olympic Games. Oh my goodness. No girl competitors allowed. Men only. Still, girls said, "Try and stop us." And they ran foot races in private festivals for Hera, queen of the gods. Goodness gracious. All of that because you wanted to play sports? Later in 1896, during the first modern Olympic Games, female marathoner Melpomene, there you go, made officials eat her dust. Denied the opportunity to compete, she defied the rules by running the entire race alongside the men. When refused entry onto the field for the final lap, Melpomene ran around the entire stadium instead. The race to breaking barriers was underway. Wow. Yeah, they were too scared she was going to beat them. She must have been pretty good. People feared that active women would develop wild-eyed, jut-jawed bicycle face, destroying their feminine appeal. In the late 1800s, Frances Willard challenged these and other Victorian beliefs by learning to ride a bike she named Gladys. Excuse me. Scandalous. Wow. In 1892, basketball was a boys' game, considered too strenuous for tender girls. But nothing stopped Senda Berenson Abbott from owning the court. A teacher at Smith College, Senda adapted the men's rules to daring girls so daring girls could play. Their court was shorter. The rules were limiting. No fast breaks, no bumping, 3 bounces only. And long bloomers were a must. These pioneers competed when others said they shouldn't or couldn't. Yeah, those shorts they have on, those were the bloomers. In 1909, polo playing Eleanor Sears shocked society when she boldly rode astride wearing pants rather than a skirt to compete in public. Oh, wow.
Click off that bike and meet me on the mat for lunges.
Wow. Friends, I do not know what's happening with the sound. I don't know. So unfortunately today, friends, because I do not know what's going on with my computer, we won't have any, oh, wait a minute, friends. We will have this is so funny, but we will have some, so just a minute. Wow, this is so funny.
Only pay for what you need.
Yeah, we will have
I just said that.
some.
To support local restaurants.
What in the world is happening today? Well, this happens sometimes. Oh, look at that. Yes, we have ambiance. There you go. So, just to let you know, we might be going a teensy bit long today. Only because we had some technical difficulties, okay? But back to the story, friends. Let's read that last page again. In 1909, polo playing Eleanor Seals shocked society when she boldly rode astride wearing pants rather than a skirt to compete in public. I always wondered how easy or hard it was to ride a horse in a skirt rather than pants. In 1926, Gertrude Erdely became the first woman to swim the English Channel, soaking the notion that females were athletically inferior to men. Unashamed and self-assured, courageous female athletes pressed on, even when folks tried to squash their competitive spirit. In 1928, Margaret Gisolo competed as the only girl on an American Legion junior baseball team. This 14-year-old Moxie made headlines, bunting, sliding, stealing, beating the boys. Her team adored her. Her opponents deplored her. No girls allowed. Eventually, league directors barred Margaret and any other girl from playing as an American Legion junior. Still, female athletes kept coming on strong. At the age of 12, Althea Gibson was a champion ping pong player, the best in all of New York City. Then she traded her paddle for a tennis racket. Althea dominated the court during the Civil Rights Movement, when blacks were struggling to gain equal rights in the United States. Althea became the first athlete of color to win a Grand Slam title, smashing gender and racial discrimination lines by taking the French Open in 1956. Talk about guts. We read about her story before. Her story was amazing. Donna de Verona joined the 1960 Olympic team as the youngest swimmer at age 13. Competitive, disciplined, and persistent, she bashed time-tested records and became known as the most outstanding female athlete in the world. Donna's future shone brighter than her gold medals. Wow. At 13 in the Olympics, that had to be exciting. Sadly, though, competitive swimming ended for this deserving athlete after 4 years on the Olympic team. Donna never made a collegiate heat sheet. If she wanted to swim in college and get an education, she would have to pay for it herself. At that time, athletic scholarships were for boys only. That was the law, and a barrier ripe and ready to be broken. I know that's right. At the onset of the 1970s, valiant warriors came together to fight the unfairness. Like any athlete worth her sweat, Congresswoman Edith Green stepped up to the plate to challenge athletic injustice. She teamed up with Shirley Chisholm, Patsy Mink, and scores of others who took a solid stand against educational, athletic, and financial discrimination with federal funds. Enough, they said. Equal rights for girls and boys. That's only fair. Game on. Lawmakers debated. Marches were organized. The valiant fighters would not quit. They insisted that girls should not and would not be shut out from equal academic and athletic opportunities, being allowed to boys only. Placing limits on the intellectual aspirations of women should be alien to the very basic concepts of this nation, Edith said, and she meant it. Discrimination was doomed. Still, debates were held. Hostilities were hurled. After a long, grueling battle, a new law was passed in 1972. Title IX mandated equal treatment for competitive girls. The law states, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Good job, Gutsy girls. At long last, from proper equipment, locker rooms, practice fields, and strong coaches for one and all, there was to be no more boys-only favoritism under the federal law. Yet, the battle for equality raged on. In that same year, the law was passed. 11-year-old Maria Pepe had pitched just 3 games before New Jersey Little League officials refused to let her continue competing with boys. The New York Yankees said, "That's crazy. Why shouldn't girls play baseball?" Officials believed the league developed qualities necessary for boys only. They thought fragile girls would get hurt. I don't know how fragile she was. She wanted to play baseball. Well, Judge Sylvia Pressler would not stand for it. She and others went toe-to-toe with the league and won. New Jersey became the first state to bar discrimination in Little League. Eventually, the majority of Little League chapters granted girls the right to play in league sanctioned baseball or softball games. Thank you so much, Judge. In time, female athletes began to experience equal treatment, changing the athletic world forever. A new generation of female athletes dominated the 1996 Olympics. Team USA crushed opponents all over the world and became known as national heroes. These women were deemed Title IX babies, triumphant female competitors born around the time the law was passed. Thanks to Title IX, they were forever free to play like a girl at the Olympics and in professional, private, and academic leagues across the country. Wow, to go from being barred to play to being national heroes. It's hard to believe that there was a time when girls were not encouraged to play sports. Today, thanks to gutsy girls and legends who changed history, you're free to stomp, jab, tackle, grind, and sweat. Anything you please. Look at you, springing, kicking, dribbling, and pitching it down the pike. Girl, you are amazing. The end. Wow. Who knew it was so hard for girls to get to play sports? Even in ancient times, they got executed for watching? Come on. Well, my friends, if you have a sporty young girl in your family, this would be a great book for her because it has a timeline. Look at this. A whole timeline from start when they were not able to play sports to when they were. Look at that, a whole timeline. Girls with Guts, the road to breaking barriers and bashing records. Such a good book. So glad I got to read that with you guys. And this book speaks about determination. Guess what? You won't let me do it. I'll find a way. Malepeni, that was amazing. Oh, I can't run the last lap because you're afraid I'm going to beat guys. I'll just run the last lap. Get your words together, Miss Hope. Around the stadium. And that's even harder because that is a greater distance. Says something about her abilities. Now for our next book, A Voice Named Aretha by Catherine Russell Brown. Let's check it off. Looks the same underneath. Let's see who the publisher of this book is. So this is a Bloomsbury Children's Books book, part of Bloomsbury Publishing. A voice named Aretha. Folks came from miles around to hear Reverend C.L. Franklin preach at New Bethel Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. The famous preacher gave soul-stirring sermons that could make you shout, moan, or nod and whisper, Amen. The Franklins' big brick house was always brimming with people and music. Everybody who was anybody in music and civil rights visited the Franklin home. Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Dinah Washington, and Nat King Cole. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a close friend and a regular guest. It was in this house, full of talking, singing, and organizing, that a shy little girl named Aretha Louise Franklin grew up. You see her back there? Shy little girl. Aretha and her brothers and sisters loved singing in church, clapping along with the organ, drums, and tambourines. Each young Franklin wanted to shine bright for Daddy. Little Aretha had the biggest voice of all. She sang soulful trills and powerful riffs with deep, easy feeling, well beyond her years. No doubt about it, Aretha was the star child. When Mother Barbara and Daddy Franklin's marriage ended, Mother moved back to Buffalo, New York. The children stayed with their father and visited their mother every summer. Quiet Aretha missed her mother dearly, but she enjoyed watching her care for patients at the hospital where she worked. She cherished the nurse's kit Mother gave her. But in 1952, right before Aretha turned 10, something very sad happened. Her mother passed away. Part of Aretha's heart died right along with Mother Barbara. Oh, you see her little nurse's kit. Oh, it must have been super hard. A few months later, Aretha practiced to sing her first church solo. The week before her performance, she was a bundle of nerves and tears. When the day came, she stood on a chair and belted out, Jesus be a fence around me. More than 1,000 people heard Aretha sing that beautiful, uplifting song. At only 10 years old, she figured out a way to draw strength from her sadness. Wow, at 10. Music was Aretha's calling, singing it and playing it. She spent hours listening to rhythm and blues, gospel, and jazz records, letting the words and melodies take her imagination to exciting new places. With her uncanny ear for music, Aretha heard someone sing a tune or play a song on the piano, and she could sing it or play it right away, just like that. 12-year-old Aretha joined the Gospel Caravan, Daddy Franklin's traveling ministry. Church folks from California to North Carolina marveled at the young girl with the voice of an old soul. Just like her daddy's preaching, Aretha's singing could move people to jump up, sway, and hum along. By age 18, Aretha was ready to share her talent with the world. She moved to the Big Apple, where she and Daddy Franklin met with Phil Moore, a famous voice coach. After hearing her sing and play the piano, he was an instant fan. "I can't take your money," he told Daddy Franklin. He could see that Aretha already had her own musical style. Before long, Aretha had signed a deal with a top record company. Aretha was a songbird ready to fly. The 1960s were a turbulent time. By law, whites and blacks were separated in schools, churches, libraries, swimming pools, even graveyards. People wanted change. They marched in the streets demanding jobs, racial equality, and an end to the Vietnam War. Aretha paid close attention to the news. She knew that separate meant unequal and refused to perform for whites-only audiences. Aretha sang only where people of all races could attend. She stayed true to what she learned as a child, that every person deserves fair treatment. Wow, that was pretty gutsy. Before she went on tour with her band, Aretha was warned that club owners sometimes tricked singers out of their money. No way was she going to let that happen. She demanded payment in cash before the show. And when she went on stage, she always put her handbag where she could see it. Aretha could put on a show and take care of business. I know that's right, Aretha. Pretty smart cookie. Although the crowds loved her, Aretha's albums flopped. She had worked too hard to let her talent go to waste. She had to do something big. She got a new band and signed with a new record company. And finally, a smash hit. "I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You" sold more than 1 million records. A few months later, her sing-along classic "Respect" was released. Then came the icing on the cake when Aretha was crowned the Queen of Soul. At last, she had found her groove. Aretha wasn't afraid of hard work. Wear your crown, Aretha. Seeing the Queen of Soul perform was an experience to remember. And in 1987, her lifetime of music was celebrated when she was the first woman voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In honor of her gospel elders, Mahalia Jackson and Clara Ward, Aretha often wore a fur coat on stage, just like they did. When she strolled out in her floor-length mink, everyone could see that Aretha Franklin had arrived. Wow. Aretha kept singing through the sweet spots and the rough patches of her life. She learned that hit songs did not always guarantee love or happiness. Some of the men Aretha fell in love with were as good as gold. A few were not so nice. In time, she learned to demand a little respect from everybody. Aretha's music didn't just soothe her pain. It inspired Black people, women, and people of all colors to stand up for justice. Whenever she performed, Aretha left the crowd with a soulful memory. She was an amazing performer. Aretha used her voice as a helping hand. When opera singer Luciano Pavarotti got sick before a performance, Aretha put her music skills to work. She had 20 minutes to learn Nessun Dorma before going on stage. TV audiences around the globe saw her masterful performance. She sang in English and in Italian. Since high school, Aretha donated money to people and businesses in Detroit. She also performed in lots of concerts to raise money for civil rights groups. Aretha used her voice to make people feel good and to make the world a better place. Bet you didn't know that. Aretha's voice had magic tucked inside, and that magic could work a spell. Sometimes the spell brings people to tears, even the President of the United States. Each one of her songs is like a sermon, with a story and a lesson, seasoned with life wisdom, hard work, and always lots of soul. They remind us of the greatest joy or the deepest pain. President Barack Obama loved Aretha Franklin. The shy girl who sang with a broken heart set her sights high and became a confident singing powerhouse. Aretha believed in her gift and dared us to believe in it too. Her songs inspired us to think, love, and respect ourselves and one another. When we hear her sing, we can thank our lucky stars that our ears crossed paths with a voice named Aretha. Wow. The end. So here are pictures of a young Aretha Franklin. And then, oops, over here, here's a picture of her performing. I've never seen her live, but I saw specials when she performed at the White House. Oops. And I remember watching that performance where she filled in for Luciano Pavarotti. That performance was amazing. Amazing. I mean, to sing opera like that and have her powerful voice was amazing. And she was very gutsy. No, I'm not performing for whites only audiences. I want all people to be able to come together to hear my music. And no, you are not going to cheat me out of my money. You're going to pay me up front, pay me in cash, and I'm going to keep my purse with me. And it's pretty gutsy to do stuff like that in the 60s, where discrimination and segregation was really, really tough and dangerous for African American people. But though she was gutsy, she had a big heart and wanted to help people. And she used her voice to do just that. Oh, I'm so glad we got to read that book. I'm going to tell you, honestly, I saw someone else with the book and I said, oh, I got to get that one. So it made it into my last shipment, which was for Women's History Month. Now, my friends, let us get to Patina. I don't know if I ever told you guys who the publisher of this book was. Let's see. Okay, so this is an Athenaeum Books for Young Readers book, an imprint of Simon & Schuster Children's Publishing Division. So let us get into Patina. So, Patina and, which one of them was it? Crystal. Patina and Crystal had a run-in with each other, okay? Because, of course, they're learning how to run relay. And in this practice, they were learning the handoff. So Coach Witt was teaching them, all right, this is how you've got to run. When you get to this point, when they get to this point, you got to put your hand back and start running full speed. And whoever is running with the baton, you got to run up to catch with the next person who's supposed to get it. Well, Crystal was not as fast as she hoped, okay? So, she was upset with Patina, and she mentioned something about Momly. Oh, you think you're better just because you have a white mother. Patina was very angry. She's like, it doesn't matter who my mother is. You should not be saying that. So they had a bit of a verbal confrontation, which if Coach Witt didn't step in between, it may have turned physical. So, how will that pan out for the meet that they are preparing for on Saturday? We will see. So we are still in chapter 7. Like I said about this book, the chapters are a little longer than some of the other books that we've read, but they're still so good. Okay, right? So we are still in chapter 7. Let's see what happens after Coach Witt pulls Patina aside and says, get yourself together. Okay? All right, let's see where we are. I glanced at Coach Witt. Yeah, I closed my eyes for a second, told myself to get a grip. Deep breaths, Patty, my mad slowly mellowing. This temper ain't a new temper. Breaking invisible teacups, smashing them everywhere. No, this ain't new. I just be keeping it pushed down, all the way down in my legs. See, there was this weird period between my dad's passing and my mother losing her legs that my mom always calls the funky zone. Because I was acting, well, funky. Temper on a billion. As soon as somebody started with me, even if they looked like they wanted to start, I would finish it. Talk people down. Talk them out of whatever they thought they wanted with me. And I was trying to let Crystal know. That's all. But it had been a long time since I had to get funky. And now that I noticed Crystal was really hurt, the funk was fading. So then I need you to answer me, Witt pressed steely. What was that? Look, I'm sorry, I said, feeling somewhere between embarrassed and satisfied. But then I looked over at Crystal, pretending I ain't cut her deep, doing her best to hold in her tears. Deja and Britt Brat pretending like they minding their business, but really they being nosy watching us. And I felt bad. A little bit bad. I don't want to, but I did. What's going on here? Coach had now made his way over to us. I'll let Patty tell you, Witt said, her voice still furious, stalking off to go talk to Crystal. It's nothing, I said quickly. Nothing? Coach looked down at my hands. Since when does nothing make you look like you're about to punch somebody? I guess the funk hadn't completely faded yet. I looked Coach in the eye, but didn't say nothing. He mumbled something like, I'm getting too old for this, under his breath. Then he startled me by shouting to everyone, You know, I'm not your daddy. I'm not your teacher or your principal or even your friend. I'm your coach, your coach. My job is to coach you to hopefully make you all better runners, but more importantly, better people. He closed his eyes. Crystal, Deja, Britt Brett, right here. He pointed to the ground in front of him. When they all came over, he took the baton from Crystal. Take one end, he ordered. I grabbed it, thinking this was going to be a revisit of the whole energy of the team speech. Crystal, you take the other. She took the other end of the baton, looking like it was the last thing in the world she wanted to do. If either of you let go, you're both off the team. Then he looked at Deja and Britt Brett. If you two see either of them let go, you tell me. And if I find out they did and you didn't let me know, you're gone as well. Now fix it. Coach, I begged. Don't try me. He cut me off, his voice ice. There are patinas and crystals all over the place, begging to be in your spot. Praying to form the bond that y'all are so determined to break. Fix it. Coach went back to the boys, who were practicing their blind handoff, leaving me and Crystal standing there, holding the middle stick, trying our best not to let our hands touch, which was pretty much impossible. Deja and Britt Brett stood in front of us, awkward. Come on, y'all, just squash it so we can get back to work, Britt Brett said. We a team. I ain't started. She came for me for no reason. I pleaded my case. That's because you were purposely trying to make me look bad, Crystal said. Make you look bad? I was running. This is a track team. Yo, you think I don't know that? I was on this team before you. That's the thing. You don't think I know that? Crystal didn't say nothing back. She just looked at me with the screw face, then yanked the baton. I almost let go. Whoa, chill, Deja said, eyes wide, hands up. Yeah, y'all tripping. Let's just talk it out, Britt Brett said. I've watched enough of Janla Van Zant to know how to do this. When do you have time to watch a Janla Van Zant? Deja asked. I didn't even know she still had a show. I don't think she do, but my mother recorded every single episode and uses it whenever she feels like she don't understand me. I keep trying to tell her I'm tall and skinny with big feet and therefore a monster. And then she says, no, baby, you're beautiful and I'm here for you. And what do you need from me to support you? Which she steals from Iyanla. And then I say, a bag of Twizzlers, a trip to the mall, and a lock on my door. And then she says, how about a bag of Twizzlers? And then I say I hate everyone and everything. Wait, so don't you get the Twizzlers? Deja asked, now laughing. What? Oh, of course I get the Twizzlers. I love Twizzlers, Crystal said, low. It was as if suddenly we were just thinking about candy. Me too. My mother used to sell them, I said after an uncertain pause. I wasn't sure if I wanted to join in on this weird Twiz fest that has suddenly broken out. Suddenly, since I was just about to give Crystal a good old-fashioned Beverly Jones Funky Zone beatdown. But it seemed like it was happening. So, your mother? This from Crystal. Yeah, she used to be the candy lady in Barnaby Terrace. Wait, that white lady sold candy in Barnaby Terrace? She asked. That's not my mother. That's my auntie. Crystal was quiet. For once. Probably trying to swallow down all that loud and wrong she just spat. Britt Brat stepped in. Okay, so what Iyanla would say now that we've broken the ice is, Patty, what did Crystal say to offend you? Then she changed her mind. You know what? Scrap that question. I think we know what both of you said. Sheesh. How about this? Patty, what's one thing you want Crystal to know about you? Britt Brad had her hands clasped and leaning in like she really knew what she was doing. Like she was for real. I couldn't believe I was actually about to do this, but seeing how serious Britt was, I felt like I had to. I wasn't trying to embarrass her. Say it to her, not me, Britt Brett nudged, her voice over the top calm. Seriously. I wasn't trying to embarrass you, I said, feeling totally ridiculous, but also feeling like Crystal needed to know that because it was true. And I'm sorry for not adjusting like we learned when we were doing the waltz, but I'm just still figuring everything out. Yes, we all are. We're trying to figure out this relay race of life, Britt Brett said, her eyes now shut. Now we all shot looks at her like, really? And when she opened her eyes and realized we were staring her down, she said, what? That's what Iyanla would say. She turned to Crystal. Your turn. Crystal sighed. Look, even though I talk a lot of trash, I'm serious about this team too, she assured me. But it's real that I'm not as fast as you. Shoot, neither am I, Britt Brett second. But that don't mean we can't win if we stay connected. Exactly, Deja chimed. I looked at Crystal. She looked at me. But for the first time today, neither of us were sizing each other up. You know how you can tell if a person is looking at you or looking at you? Yeah, there was none of that extra sting in her eyes. She was just looking at me like she was trying to see me. We good? I asked, still holding on to the stupid baton. Crystal bit down on her bottom lip and nodded. Yeah, we good. Good, because I'm done with Iyanla Van Cant over here, Deja smirked. Britt Brat palmed both of Deja's shoulders and looked her in her eyes, all serious. Oh, please. You know you want me to fix your life. Deja rolled her eyes like, ugh. Okay, but just know, denial is the first step to defeat, Deja. A few minutes later, we called Wit over. We would have called Coach, but he was so mad at us that it just didn't seem like a good idea. Can we drop the baton, I asked. Can you what? Wit sparked up like I had asked for her $20. You can never, ever drop the baton. That's not what I meant, but it is, subconsciously. Everybody was Iyanla all of a sudden. But if y'all are done fighting, you can release it. Crystal, you keep it, and we can get back to practice. We're straight, I said. You sure? I looked at Crystal, saw her, saw all of us, and knew we now had each other's backs. Yeah, Wit, we good. Whew. Well, we will end there on this very interesting broadcast of Miss Hope's Reading Hour. For all of you who stuck it out through the technical difficulties that went on today, thank you so much. I am so glad that I got to read these awesome books with you about the girls with guts who were like, no, we're not going to take it that girls cannot compete in sports, even play them or watch them. Really? And the voice named Aretha, the story of the amazing Aretha Franklin and her amazing voice and her amazing life, and how she was gutsy in saying, no, not only white people have the right to enjoy this voice, everybody enjoys this voice together. So, Patina, it was intense. If you weren't here for the confrontation, go back to Fabulous Friday and you'll see how contentious her confrontation with Crystal was. But Coach and Coach Witt were determined that, listen, if you're going to run this relay, going to be on this team, you can be gutsy all you want. But you also have to learn how to be a team and work together. And sometimes that's a gutsy thing to do as well. When you have your own thing and trying to defend yourself, sometimes humbling yourself and getting over it can be gutsy too. Well, my friends, thank you so much for sticking in there with me with all of this crazy technical stuff. So glad to have read these books with you. And I look forward to seeing you on our last Women's History Month broadcast on Wednesday, on our wonderful Wednesday. Have a terrific Tuesday here in Philadelphia. It's supposed to be unseasonably warm for the spring. So I hope that you get outside and have a great time getting the fresh air, the sun, and having fun. Okay, of course, be safe. Social distancing, mask wearing. Okay, until then, my friends, I will see you next time on Miss Hope's Reading Hour.